Oh, wait. There you go. Welcome to the transparency. So I have a very raspy voice. This used to be how my voice was like all the time back in the day, but um, I did a lot of speaking, I guess, this weekend. So bear with me. Thank you, mods, subscribers, members. Sunday night for the Sleuths. Let's take a look. Check it out. I'm not even sick. I just don't have a voice. Welcome to the transparency.
Honestly, I feel a little bit lucky knowing that we have somebody and there's a person of interest.
Why is that?
We're just like a little bit understaffed. Right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
We've been looking for people, but no one.
Yeah, well, and we're getting to the end of the school year, so all the students are trying to get out of town and they don't want jobs. Yeah. So are you front of house or back of house? Okay, cool. Do they treat you pretty good then? Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Hey, Enon, right?
Yeah, what?
Yep. Long time no see. How are you doing?
What? Pretty good. How about you?
Good. Thank you for asking. Well, you know me. I'm Officer Harkins. Yeah.
All right, guys, welcome again. Sunday night for the Sleuths. Again, hello, everybody, members, subscribers, moderators. We left off on the alibi, and the alibi is that Brian Kohlberger was out driving. Now, I went through a bunch of files to come across stuff that I worked on in the past, because I did a big board of all the different exits in the area, as well as the 60 cameras. There were 30 cameras in Moscow that are like traffic cams. And then there's 30 cameras in Pullman. So that's 60 cameras, traffic cams. And they have them, all over. And what are the odds that if they have this loop that they put in the PCA that they believe Brian Kohlberger took, and they have these times, you're telling me we can't get him on any cameras? You're telling me he was able to leave Pullman? And I'm talking about like traffic cams. So what about these traffic cams? From the time he leaves Pullman to the time he gets to Moscow, allegedly, he's not seen until he gets to, and it's not on a traffic cam. It's on a home surveillance cam, a ring cam, at the 700 block of Indian Hills. How does that happen? You poor thing. Let a mod talk for me. I know, right? I didn't even do anything. You'd have thought, like, I have no idea why my voice is like this. Oh, did somebody buy some memberships there? Oh, thank you. Welcome to the Truth and Transparency family. Home team, baby. But also, let me ask you guys this. how long do these cameras last for until they're like recorded over? Like, would Brian Kohlberger be able to go out and, hey, where'd you drive to that night? Um, could they go out and search cams to try to like prove that he was somewhere else? It'd take a long time, but how much time, like even past that, were those cameras even available, for him, if stuff wasn't saved back in the day? Miss you, Lana. Okay, raspy, yeah. It's pretty raspy. The Richard says that depends. Think about when he was arrested and everything. I mean, it's outside of like the 30-day mark. You're pushing just under the 60-day mark, but Lana, take a shot. It can help. I'm just taking some tea right now. Tea bags. Teabagging it. Someone made a great point. They said the toll readers have no problem reading my license plate. Yep, every time I got to pay a toll booth when I go to PA, I'm never getting by. I'm always paying my toll booth, so that's true. Great input there. Is it Tara or Tara? But either way, TB. So true. So yeah, I went through and I was looking at these cameras, and I was looking at the different cell towers, and I'm going to show you guys something. Hold on one second. Let me bring this in here. All right, this was before I got Hector here. And I have all my boards up. And this was my board of the maps. So now that I have Hector, I'm going to take these down and show you guys the different routes possible. But yeah, I had to dig out this old school board I had of everything to do with the cell towers, their coverage area, then comparing it to AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon. And then I compared it to then the cameras and where they were located in Pullman and in Moscow. Oh, good vibes, Anna. You do great work. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I've been a member for 7 months, but it's not letting me do the chat thing. No biggie. I don't know what that means, the chat thing, like a super chat thing, because I can see you if that matters. Love the TNT fam. Thank you. Appreciate that. So, JJ, Lana, you're the damn best gal. Why? Because I'm doing a live and I have no fucking voice. I don't know. Maybe I use my voice more than I thought this weekend, but yeah, but kind of wanted to hear your guys' thought process on. I'm going to go and bring Hector into play here. Come on, Hector. Good job. Get in gear. There you go. Excuse me. All right. First up. I was always interested in the time when it came back on, the phone allegedly like pinging to an area. I'm gonna back this. It says it came back on at 4:48. If Brian technically left up out of King, though, at 4:20, that's 28 minutes, and this only takes you 16 minutes to get to where that allegedly would have pinged. This is right by one of the towers, and it's before Genesee's. It's by Blaine. That's 16 minutes though, and he was going at a high rate of speed. You know what I mean? The other thing is, let's see, what else do I have over here? Make this bigger. So I basically took what they kind of did in the PCA and I replicated it here. Okay. And it's an hour and 5 minutes if you were to just make that loop beginning though, and leaving. I put 500 Queen Road in. This was back in the day that I did this. But like I said, 10 minutes is missing. Like where you would be over here and where it says that his phone was pinging off of, he would have been further along. That's always been a problem for me when I looked at that. Then the big thing I started doing now, which I'll be doing it all week, is to show these towers where these cameras are all at and do a earth video to show you guys. But because I started looking at where all the possible cameras were and how did Brian, not make any of the traffic cams or this alleged, vehicle at least. So yeah, I was breaking down a whole bunch of different ways that you could go and where the cameras were. But this trip right here is an hour and 5 minutes. Going the loop that they basically gave us and the PCA. The only thing that's crazy is that there's no camera sightings of him within like numerous blocks of where he lives. This car just same thing. It just gets placed on a map and it just ends. So, Lana, tea with lemon and honey, salt, water, rinse. Oh, trust me. Trust me, I'm just not laying on my back, Deborah. Thank you. Oh, there you go. So satisfying seeing my name in green. I love this channel and all the fam. Thank you. Appreciate that. Deborah, you like that? Thought you would. So again, guys, now do the math on what they are telling us. And there's times frames that are missing, and people could say, well, it's because he got rid of stuff on his way, like he just stopped off. Well, then why aren't we having some like elaborate searches for like the murder weapon, some clothing? You know what I mean? If you truly believe that he took that path, wouldn't you be searching for the murder weapon, that he got rid of it, clothing, stuff like that? You'd be having like mega searches off of all of these exits, because if you truly believe that it's Brian Kohlberger and he has to like leave at a certain time and this is the route that he took, so aren't you going to spend like hella time, even if, you know, trying to find the murder weapon? That's what I would be spending my time on, is the murder weapon. And, you know, if you're following like the Delphi case or a lot of cases, the media was all over this case. And the media never got any information like, hey guys, they're searching. They got a search team out in Blaine. They have a search team out in over here. There was never any of these, like, you know, they could never find or get wind of that there was any search parties for anything. So, I mean, does that mean that they didn't search it? No. But I think it would have been pretty hard to keep it under wraps with all the media that was in Moscow, Idaho at the time. Atlanta, would you be willing to show chat what Google? Yes, I can. I'm going to do a lot of that stuff this week. So today's kind of to get the ball rolling with what I'm going to be doing this week, which is on Friday. Ann Taylor makes it known Brian was out driving. So everybody thinks that Brian shut off his phone. Well, I'm going to break it down and show that, you guys, this has so many times in here in the PCA that it's consistent with doing this. When it says it's consistent with doing this, it's also consistent with something else, okay? That means that it has another variable that it could, could it mean this? So on the stand, they're going to be asked questions like, could it also mean this? If it hit off of this cell tower, could it also be that his vehicle was over here? And the answers to all of that stuff is going to be, yeah. And that's what I believe that Ann Taylor is talking about when she's saying that we're going to have our expert witnesses talking about things. As far as to go against what they're saying. And for me, one of the big things is right here where they say that they had footage of him, or they, right here. Additional analysis of records for his phone indicated that between approximately 5:32 p.m. and 5:36 p.m., his phone utilized cellular resources that provided coverage to Johnson, Idaho. His phone then stops reporting to the network from approximately 5:36 until 8:30 p.m. This is consistent with his phone being the area that the 8458 phone traveled in the hours immediately following the suspected time the homicides occurred. So was his phone off? You know, no, there's just no service over there. Okay. But there was no service. It didn't come back on for, it was 3 hours, 3 hours. Then you come across another point where they say that the following day, it says that on the 14th, on Monday, that the phone pinged and it had him being in Moscow, but we don't believe he was actually in Moscow that day. Why? So basically your pings are what? They're inconsistent. So you're putting it in the PCA, which you tend to do. And that's like what they're going to be considering is like, well, we didn't leave anything out. We showed how, yeah. But I want to know why they don't think that he was in Moscow when his phone was pinging there. Like, what information do they have to say that? And I believe it's teaching classes. But did they have school that Monday? I believe Moscow didn't have school on Friday or Monday. So I'll go back and double check. But are they saying that they don't believe that he was in Moscow because he was actually teaching a class? But I want to know why they don't believe he was in Moscow. And what they say there is, what page is it? Gotta get through all of that. Right here. It's going to be interesting. Also, if there's towers that are busy, they will automatically bump you to another tower. So, this is what people are talking about, like right here, that next morning. You guys, check this out. I'm going to show you how this is just not okay. If you leave the King Road house area at 9:21 a.m., it is impossible to make it back to Brian Kohlberger's apartment in 11 minutes. It is impossible to do that. So it said that specifically the 8458 phone utilized cellular resources that would provide coverage to the King Road residents between 9:12 a.m. and 9:21 a.m. Basically, after 9:21 a.m., he was no longer in an area that provided coverage to the King Road house. This does not mean that he is paying off of their Wi-Fi or whatever the hell people are talking about out there. That's just not what it means. This is not what it says. And I will double down and tell you this, that get JLR back out there. And I want him to try to make, from King, I want him to try to make the drive and be at Step 2 Apartments in 11 minutes. You're not going to be able to do that. I don't care how fast you're going. Just it's not going to happen. So this whole thing of like, he's back over there allegedly. Further review indicated that his phone utilized cellular resources on November 13th that are consistent with the phone leaving the area of the Kohlberger residence. It could also be, you could be leaving the area of his office. It could be leaving the area. It would be any area that provides service to that area. It would not just be his residence. Okay. So, but then it was saying that I was traveling to, Moscow, Idaho. And then this is going to be what the problem for me is then when they then say, when we went ahead and looked on November 14th, investigators found that on November 14th, Brian's phone did connect to a cell phone tower that provides service to Moscow on November 14th, but investigators do not believe the 8458 phone was in Moscow on that day. Why don't you believe that? And that's the big question for me is, wait, you believe it's doing this whenever, like every other thing you believe in, but this one on November 14th, which would be like Monday, why don't you believe that his phone was ever in Moscow that day? But investigators do not believe the 8-4 phone was in Moscow on that date. Jonathan, you are the best at lining out finding info. Thank you, Jonathan. We'll appreciate you saying that. Yes, Kim, it is. It's 19 minutes. It's 19 minutes. So I think that, when people want to talk about these pings, you have the police writing in here in the PCA, the same PCA they arrested him with, and said that, hey, guess what? Your phone's pinging over here, but we don't believe that you were there. We don't believe that your phone was there. How about that? We don't believe your phone was there. Well, why do you think that? And how about this? Why wouldn't they say that? Why wouldn't they just say that in the PCA? I'm going to reveal the PCA that Tolson helped Van Leuven write in the Brian Drake murder. I'm going to reveal it with Hector the Projector. It's 19 pages, very similar to, and I'm just going to compare some stuff for you guys so you guys can see, like, let's look at a PCA that then we got to also then see the evidence after the fact, and let's see where they stretch things or where they were very, very creative with wording, okay? So that they could be considered not lying or not being not truthful, things like that. So, but for me, you have it in the PCA talking about that the pings are inconsistent right here. Inconsistent, number one. Number two, you're going to try to tell me that Brian Kohlberger get from the King Road area in 11 minutes. I'm going to tell you to fucking win. I'm going to tell you that's not possible. And then I'm going to show you that there was 60 cameras that somehow Brian was able to elude. How is that possible? 60 cameras, 30 in Moscow, 30 in Pullman, and you want to tell me that he had his phone shut off. So you're going to say he's rolling with a burner, okay? Or he wrote everything down on a piece of paper to give him these old school directions so that he could miss every single camera traffic cam. Because in order for Brian Kohlberger for his case, for him to help himself, it would be if he could find himself on those traffic cams, right? But how long do those traffic cams go until they get deleted? So how would Brian know to be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to have to, in case they one day want to, charge this crime to me, I'm going to have to go and see if I get my hands on these traffic cams to save them before they're written over. You know what I'm saying? But not one time in this PCA do we hear anything about that a traffic cam was used. And you guys know they have those in real time, right? Like I could go on there right now and search. And so I'm going to break down every single exit and where they are. And we're going to show like the arrows, and it's going to be a nice big old project that the mods and me get to work on. If anybody else wants to throw, their 2 cents in, email, do it all through there. But I want to know. I want to turn over every stone, because I would think I want to find a camera that has Brian Kohlberger walking out of that car. I want to see him walking in the car, see him walking out of the car, to the car that they want to say is suspect vehicle. I personally believe that you can't just go like this on a map and say, we saw a vehicle over here. It was a match of a 2014, 2016 white Hyundai Elantra. Then we're over here in Moscow, over here in the 700 block. And this one is consistent with the 2011, 2013. Then to change my mind on the 2011, 2013, and then expand it from the say 2011, 2016. And you want me to believe that those are the same vehicles. But yet you have no camera in between Pullman and the 700 block of Indian Hills linking those two. And again, there's a time barrier that's off. Yeah, no. Like, I just, that's a stretch for me. And once you do get Brian Culber, you're not having any searches for the murder weapon. The fuck are you doing? I would be searching hella crazy off that 10 missing minutes. You know? So, yeah, if you use likely, possibly, but when you use consistent, that's another key word. It's consistent with this. Yeah, but it's also consistent with what else? There's other things. Again, I love that all of you guys are here. Let's see, Mikey, party boys at Applebee's, do the dance. Definitely wasn't at Applebee's. Good vibes. Thank you for that, Lana. You do great work. Thank you for that. Again, welcome to membership. And thank you for your membership. Leanne, welcome to the transparency. TNT fam is my number one home. Miss Williams, come on down for the past 3 months. Look at you. Thank you for the super chat here. Lana, what do you think about a Stingray involved? Paying devices, just curious. Carry on. Much love. Take care. Rock Chalk 100. I just want to see. I want to see some physical evidence. Right now, the only thing that's physical is a sheath that is not on body cam. Everything else is circumstantial. This whole entire case is circumstantial with a shit ton of hearsay. So I want to see some physical evidence. And you would think that 2023 we'd be able to get that. I think that somebody like an expert with blood, I think that crime scene is going to be so important, because if you're a jury member and you're sitting in there and you're seeing these crime scene photos and you're seeing a ton of spatter everywhere, and an expert's going to talk about how you'd be covered in blood and that there's no blood, there was a cleanup job, but yet you want to tell me that this guy got out of there in like 12 minutes. You want to talk about the hurdles. Kaylee and Maddie's cell phones don't ever get used again at 2:52. You guys, if I'm Anne, if this murder happened at that time from around 3 o'clock in the morning, it's before Brian's technically there, according to the police. So, and I think that that's going to be within the time frame that the ME says the time of death could have occurred. I think she's going to give a range of like 3 to 6, 3 to 5. I do see that. I don't think that you could get in and out of there and clean up a crime scene in the amount of time that they're saying that this happened. Again, I don't know what the crime scene looks like. They were talking about that there's a lot of blood. But for me, it's not the amount of blood, it's where the blood is. So I'm concerned of where the blood is located. Because if people are bleeding out in beds, I think that there would be then a reason that there wouldn't be that much blood on the perpetrator. We were going over some of this stuff with Scott Ritter. I think the other things where you're going to have eyewitnesses physically putting people in that house before and just after, and possibly during the crime, the time of the crime. And you have 2 unknown male DNA profiles in that house, and you took a plethora of people's, DNAs, it's friends, boyfriends, things like that, and yet there's still 2 unknowns. I think that depending on where that's located, I think if the sheath does not have any blood on it, I would think if there was a struggle, not upstairs, but downstairs. Downstairs is where I would think that the sheath would be, or had a chance to fall off or come off of a belt loop, versus the 2 people that could have possibly been sleeping. I think that the wounds, I think that if you go and you're going to show that they're not consistent with what they're alleging is the murder weapon, if there could be possibly multiple murder weapons, and then does the sheath fit the size of the knife? Is the knife larger than the sheath? Again, if you're just joining in here on the live, don't mind my voice. After reading Dr. Moore and Dr. Drake's layout of that, I'm very curious to know when they took the bodies out now. I think that that's just something we talked, everybody was always wondering, like, nobody saw, any, we're not talking about one body, we're talking about 4 bodies. Nobody saw any, like, I hate to say this, like body bags or anything coming out. So when did they remove the bodies? I ordered Chinese food tonight for dinner so I can get some wonton soup in me. Another big part of it is obviously the DoorDash. We can still talk about this, which is it's a revolving door, right, guys? People are coming in and out of the house. How does Brian Kohlberger know where his targets are? If you've never been in that house before, how does he know, if there's a DoorDash? How did they not cross paths? What's the roommate's cell phone activity? Were they walking around? There's a lot of activity. Those cops in Banfield pulled over or stopped those kids, kind of asked them where they were coming from, but whatever. It would be surprising to me that, knowing that they were coming up from that King Road area and coming down, that they wouldn't have continued to stay in that area. In fact, okay, if Linda is remotely, the truth, those videos are the truth, and that noise is truly happening, because after hearing the body cam, that area, you can just hear everything. You can hear stuff from Taylor. So my question is why did the undercovers go back behind and buy King Road house? Okay. Is there a chance that the cars that are circling every, 5, 10, 15 minutes, could that be one of the undercover cars? Because that's what they would have been doing. Can Ann Taylor, get somebody to be on the stand saying, yeah, I was making loops in my new hybrid car that they got us, because that's what we do. But if those kids just said they were coming from that area, I don't know why you would give those tickets, get in your vehicle then, and then go away and go down by White Ave and that area over there. Nobody called them in. Do you guys know that all the stops that night with the undercovers, the 301, and then the 3:26, 3:28 p.m. or a.m. with the sign, the stuff that I've showed you guys, those were not called in by civilians. Those were call-ins just by the police. So why weren't they hanging up over there in the King Road area? What possibly took them over to White Ave? And guess what, guys? Nothing did. They didn't get a call to say go over there, unless it was on a channel that was just communicating between them. I thought that somebody called in, and so I got the reports, and I got the body cam. Okay. And they cut the body cam short. They didn't give me the dash cam of the guys driving that did the, the tickets for the Banfield drinking. Those are the same guys that then, when they were finished ticketing there's a 15-minute gap of lost time before they get down to like White Ave. Maybe it's a little bit less than 15 minutes. I have to go back and double check the exact time. But I would think that they would still be hanging out up over in the King Road area, because that's where those kids were coming from, and they were trying to catch, the underage drinking and the drugs. So it's interesting that they would go away from that. PK has to be the most unluckiest person in the world. Poor guy, LOL. I just had to highlight that, not because I wanted to. I was trying to click on somebody else's. So, sorry about that. But I guess, Mariah, you can have your opinion on Brian being lucky or not, or unlucky or not. No, I'm not. I'm just going on common sense. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Because how did they get to Brian Koberger then? Common sense. Just that amazing police work. 22,000 white Elantras. We are coming for you. Again, welcome to transparency. Yeah, we don't know if Brian Koberger is innocent, guilty. We don't know if other people are involved, all these things, right? We just want the truth. You just want the truth. And how do you get to the truth? You just get to the truth by taking it the fuck apart, So that's what we're doing. And again, I do apologize for my voice. That's why I will only be live here for another 15 minutes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the link and give you guys some time to tell me what you think a little bit about. And we're going to be staying on point here. And it has to do about, Brian coming out and through his lawyer saying, hey, I was driving. If you're asking what I was doing between this time and this time, I was driving. Lana needs a spoonful of honey. A teddy bear. I thought you just meant maybe a teddy. Again, welcome. Lana, just curious, have you read Howard's latest? Yes, Bella read it for us.
Drop my link.
Go on over to her channel if you want to hear it before bed. I've been, because I was trying to preserve my throat, I was watching the Biggie Smalls, Tupac, Netflix documentary with Josh Hummel, and who else was in it? Oh, the warden from The Orange is the New Black. And I didn't realize that they were on the LA PD kick about Biggie Smalls. I learned that. Bella's channel's rocking, says the Richard. Very good in healing. The Richard says your channel's healing.
It is. Tom, thank you. He understands.
Lana, we know you're not teabagging. Don't give it away there. take a shot of Jack Daniels. Pour me. That's funny. The Pink concert was just in Pittsburgh this past weekend. I heard she did another rockin' show. We got Morgan Wallen coming to Columbus for back-to-back shows this coming weekend. There you go. Lana, do you think that one of the guys from Brian's survey or anybody who resented and is a killer got obsessed with framing him to set him straight? No. In my opinion, if you're talking about like a frame job, I believe that you're always going to have inside help to pull off a frame job. So I believe that would have to involve law enforcement on some level. Otherwise, you can't frame somebody without law enforcement's help. It's really, really difficult. So what are your thoughts about with Bethany? I think just Bethany and Dylan have completely clashing stories. And I think it has a lot to do with the time of the crime. You know, Bethany says that, or Dylan says that she heard all of us at like 4 a.m., you know, and Bethany's story could be that she heard all of us at 3. And so it's like, who's are we going to go with? And they decided to go with Dylan's, you know. But I'm going to let Mr. Lux, I enjoy him. He can go ahead and talk for a minute here.
Lena, how you doing?
You know, I was great until I was like, oh my God, I'm losing my voice.
Oh, your voice getting better. I was like, what's wrong with Lena tonight? Like,
yeah,
she sound terrible.
It was just, I'm not sick or anything. I think I just lost it.
Okay. That's all right. It's all right. You probably were auditioning or something like that. You trying to get the voice, huh?
Yeah, I was doing something.
You're probably gonna try to be on The Voice, huh?
It was just that good, I think.
No, you're on the money tonight. It's like, I don't know. Last time we spoke, maybe like 2 weeks ago. I'm not sure. Maybe 3. So maybe about a month ago. I'm not even sure. But I forgot to mention. No, I think I said that. How the hell did BK get to from Pullman to Washington and not get caught on a traffic cam? Like, even okay, if it was at nighttime, all right. How about the next morning? They said he got to he came to Moscow at 9 a.m. At 9 a.m. that's broad daylight.
Yeah.
How did you not catch BK on all these cams you're showing us at nighttime?
Yeah.
How did you not catch him on the following morning when he came back? You're trying to tell me he came back to King Road or whatever around the area. You didn't catch him on at 9 a.m. in the morning?
Mm-hmm. Like he went by the house. People were saying like, oh yeah, he pinged on the house. So 1112 didn't catch him. Then over there, Linda Lane. I mean, it just. But then I said, there's just no way he's making it back. It's a 19-minute drive. But but that's going the quick way. That's going like, if you're going to avoid cameras, you're not making it back to that area.
But there's no way to avoid cameras, because if you're not caught on a traffic cam, you're caught on one of those stores cam. You can't miss those. Like, it's impossible. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Miss Potts has always said that Brian is a time traveler. So I appreciate
No, you hit it on the money with the traffic cams. Like, him not being caught on any of those traffic cams. It wasn't even mentioned in the PC at all. Like, we caught him on this traffic cam at all to at least get the plates, because I don't think they want to use the plates. It's not that I don't think they don't have it. I think they have it. I think there's a big hole in the story. That's not the only hole, but I think the traffic cam is only one of the things that's a hole. It could be the wounds. I'll be lying to you if I tell you I know. But it could be something with the wounds and that don't match the night sheath. That could be something with the there's a hole. I know there are holes here that they're trying to hide. Because if you read the motions, right? Ann Taylor's trying to go before the judge to have an ex parte hearing.
I know. Can you believe? I mean, I don't think that's ever going to happen. I mean, I don't. But damn, if it does, holy shit.
Hey, Lena, I'm not a lawyer, but my guess would be, and my guess is just as good as yours, that if the judge would allow this ex parte hearing, he would have to basically change the fact that he could be tried again, because I think everything that the defense is going to use, they have to show everything that the prosecution is going to use, they have to show the defense and vice versa. And so the defense have to show everything to the prosecution that they're going to use. So if they're going to do something in secret, then you would automatically open the case to him being tried again. Because remember, if he's found not guilty, he cannot be tried again. But for the judge to allow him to present evidence that the prosecution cannot access or even investigate on their own, that means that you would have to change the laws. And I don't think that the judge have that discretion. I'm not a lawyer, but I
don't think it's going to happen. I don't believe that's going to happen. But I just love how they threw it out there, though. Like, talk about just like, here you go. We have no problem. We'll sit down with you and we'll talk.
I told you last time, Lena, that Ann Taylor's sitting on a trove. You know how they said, oh yeah, the car was gonna be a trove of evidence? No. Ann Taylor's sitting on something big. If she tells you that because she doesn't want the prosecution to know. So either, I don't know, because when I looked at the car, they saying that because his father had the phone on his lap, there wasn't a GPS in the car. And I have the screenshot of the car. I have the screenshot of the stop when they stopped them on the highway when they were driving back to Pennsylvania. And I don't think I saw a GPS. I think it was turned off. That doesn't mean that they don't have it. Sometimes maybe it wasn't set up on a car correctly, but it could still have access to it. But I don't know that. But whatever she has, and my guess would be the GPS, because if his alibi is he was in his car, then whatever she's sitting on has to be this evidence will prove that he was in this car at this location away from King Road. So my guess would be that it would be the car. But I don't know. I'm guessing here, to be honest with you. But she's sitting on something. I think she's sitting on something.
I think that she believes in her case. I definitely think that she believes in her case. I think this is more than just like going through the motions and making sure that she's doing her job and that this doesn't get retried. But I think that they're going so far above and beyond, which is nice to see, because you don't see these type of defenses ever. I'm sorry, but you just don't. People don't do their job. It's just, that's the way it is. But they're going full out. They're doing their job, and I think it's just nice to see. It gives you faith that people still do their job.
Lena, I like the way that you think, because you think shit that I'm not thinking about at all. Like when I watch the lives, I'm like, how the hell she's going over this? Like she's like a private investigator. Were you a private investigator, or were you going to law school? I'm not sure. You're going over some shit that I'm like, oh my God. But what do you think? I'm gonna leave you with this. What do you think that Ann Taylor's sitting on? Because I think your guess would be.
I think it's the time of the crime. I think that the time of the crime is big. I think that they had everybody thinking, and they thought of themselves 3 to 4, and the reason that they moved off 3 to 4 is because that's not going to get you a Brian Kober conviction.
Do you think Bethany heard the scream? Do you think she can confirm the scream on that camera at 2:00? Because she was texting, maybe she texted Dylan and asked her, what the hell is going on? And should I call the cops? You think it could be something like that?
Yeah, I just think that whatever Bethany has is, I think everybody was interviewed multiple times, and I don't think anybody ever said the name Brian Koberger. I don't think anybody ever described Brian Koberger, but I think that other people were described. Other people were mentioned, and the time is, I think, different.
Hey, the hearing is in 10 days? What is it in 10 days?
I think. Well, she has a hearing August 18th, I think.
But yeah, I think they're gonna. You think they're gonna talk about the ex parte hearing? I think we'll find out something.
Well, that I think the 18th is loaded with stuff. They're gonna talk about a lot on the 18th.
There's so many emotions. Oh my God.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot, but I think there was a lot going on in this case. You have 4 dead bodies. You know what I mean? You have 4 victims.
All right. I believe you with this. Drink some tea and get well soon.
Oh, thank you so much. I always love it when you come up here.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Luggs, you take care, babe. All right. Oh, he's a good nut. Vicky says, bingo, me too, time of crime. You know, guys, because the PCA puts Brian Kohlberger at like that 2:52 time when Kaylee's phone and Maddie's phone never call again. Okay. I don't believe that two girls stop using their phone at the same exact time. They fall asleep at the same exact time. I find that hard to believe. I think that two girls could stop using their phone if something was happening, you know. But I don't think they both fell asleep at the same exact time. And at 2:52, and even into like all the way to get to like 3:29, the PCA is basically saying that Brian Kohlberger's not there yet. So, and that's the same time that Banfield citizens arrest was going on. I call it citizens arrest. You guys, and at the end of the day, the roommates never call 911. They don't even call 911 in the morning or at like 11:58. It's not them calling 911. And if I'm Ann Taylor, I'd fucking hammer the shit out of that. Like, what is up? This will be my last caller because I am going to try to like rust my throat. So take it on home, the Richard. What do you got for me?
Darling, man, your voice, it's beautiful as always. I love how you're going with the old lady vibe and everything. I think that's really cool. Obviously, honey, I mean, like literally eating honey and all that. Yeah, definitely. All right, so regarding the case, regarding what we received with the alibi, I think it's a perfect response.
Yeah. I mean, he's out driving. I think that as long as he's doing that a shit ton before, like, and that makes sense, which I believe that's, I don't think that Ann Taylor's going to lie for him. So I think that when she said it, like, hey, he goes out for drives, it's something that he would always do. I think that she can prove that. I think that she says it best. Cross-examination. She's going to cross the shit out of all these people, especially the police, especially law enforcement, because they chose to take their investigation a route that Ann believes, why didn't you go this way? Why would you go that way? And there's just a lot of gaps that they're going to have to answer to. And then obviously crossing up, you know, people like Jack D, Jack Showalter, Bethany, Dylan, the neighbors, and then Hunter Johnson, even Ethan's siblings. But I think she's going to do it with a lot of class. I think she's going to do it with a lot of respect. I think she's going to become very likable. And those are all positives for Brian Kohlberger. If Brian Kohlberger did it, I want him to be found guilty. If the evidence is there. If Brian Kohlberger didn't, I don't want a jury to convict somebody based off of the mainstream media running with fucking lies, based off of the police and law enforcement pumping out bullshit. So that's will always be my take on anything, you know. The really big
there's so many gosh darn takeaways here. The really big thing is, okay, everybody are focusing on this is him because that's what the narrative was orchestrated, created to be. Howsoever, we must be aware that, okay, if this is him, did he work alone? And also, plus, if it isn't him, then if he wasn't working alone, that means that there are other people out there. And if it wasn't him, then that means there's even more people out there.
Absolutely.
Millions of dollars, all this money going to this case to pinpoint this one celibate incel who wanted to bang some hot chicks younger than him. What? None of that. Nothing makes sense. I mean, we're in alignment here on that. And the one thing that pisses me off, and it should infuriate everyone, is that every single person that they were cleared within 24 hours and all within the same spot. They weren't taken to separate locations. And okay, okay. Hey, did you do it? Okay, all right, you're free. All right. Hey, what about you? Did you do it? All right. Yeah, go ahead. You know, what? We needed DNA and everything. What about all the DNA that's in the scene? Well, that we're aware of, that's actually at the scene. If they would have swabbed all of those at the beginning, we might actually have a match by now. This is orchestrated in such a way that I'm actually focusing on all the things that make sense, because those are the ones that are the most curious. That's kind of where I am. I'm not saying he's guilty or not guilty. I don't care. Like I just watched freaking The Fugitive and U.S. Marshals again the other day.
Yes.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Old school there.
Yeah. Harrison Ford's like, I'm innocent. Tommy Lee Jones is, I don't care.
I don't care. Yeah.
And so I'm looking at all the things, trying to find the loose ends to piece together what makes sense of all the things that don't make sense, and also versa at the same time. Okay, I'm sorry.
You good? Okay, good.
That's my vibe. Hey, somebody said, hey, Richard, you seem like you got a big brain, and I just wanted to point it out. Yeah, I do. This is a medical. Yeah. I do.
Hey, Richard, do you have a... No, I'll just stop right there.
Wait a second. No, never mind. Though, yeah, I know you've got to rest your voice. Everything with this case, I do feel like in the beginning, you remember, and for the longest time, nothing's going to come out until the trial. And holy shit, man, this is one of the most exciting things that we've ever had. It's like there's new stuff all the time, it seems like.
Yeah. I'm excited for this week, though, because I'm going to try to put out to show where, like, because I think people forget, like, okay, we have Ring camera, but let's talk about what we have government-wise. We got traffic cams out there. They're in Pullman. They're in Moscow. We also have businesses, and Ann Taylor was handed just a shit ton of like what they was discovery, and she used the great word when she's like, "We're sorting through the relevant discovery." You guys just data dumped us, okay?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I know that I don't think that Brian wants to waive his speedy trial, right? I don't think that he's going to. So people can say out there that they think that this is not going to go to trial. When it's going to, Brian's going to do everything he can to make sure this goes to trial. So he's not waiving his right. So
without getting into my theory, well, I'm
going to get to Yolanda here, and then I'm going to round us up. So
okay.
I
was just saying I agree with you. That's what I'm saying.
I'm going to be doing a call-in show though over the next couple days, where my live will be like a couple hours. That way that people can get through and kind of get out some talks about what people are thinking and does this change their mind and things like that.
Drink some honey.
Thanks, baby. All right, Yolanda, close us out, love.
Yes, this is my voice is acting up too, but I hope you feel better as well. But every time I watch a show, I come up with more questions. Okay, so if he did this massive killing and got back into the car, did they test the car for blood? Why nobody ain't say if did they find all this
They
blood?
did. They tested it. There's no blood.
What?
No blood. No blood of any of the victims. Yeah, no DNA.
So no scratches, DNA. No cuts, no nothing, no hair pulling, no fight. People fought back. He ain't got no scratches on his face, nothing, and he the perfect killer.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying, like perfect killer.
So that's why I just want to say every time.
There was no blood. That's always been my thing. Is there's no DNA in the car of any of the
especially
victims.
In the car. Where did he change clothes at? Where if he threw his clothes, how he did all this in 8 minutes? I'm trying to figure it out.
That's what I'm gonna try to break down this week. We're gonna go over like the time of the crime and how perfectly all of this had to kind of go. Because if you think about it, the one thing what I wrote it on one of the I'm gonna go over my community post that I posted. But I said, like, let's say that the sheath wouldn't have come back and had the DNA on it. You know, would that have prevented them from still going and trying to get Brian Kohlberger? You know what I mean? Like, so, like, my thing is, what does the state think is their biggest piece of evidence? What do you guys think the state feels like is their biggest piece of evidence? You know, and so I want to talk about that because people can say all day the state doesn't have to prove motive. No, they don't. But every investigator, that's all they ask over and over and over to themselves, to other people that they're working with, and to the people that they are interviewing, is we're trying to get, you know, trying to figure out a motive here. Who would want to kill these 4 kids, or maybe just 1 or 2 of them, and then to get caught in it. So they don't. Juries like to hear motive, but you don't have to prove a motive. That's not like a requirement, but it doesn't make sense to people if you can't kind of fit that into like how somebody that has no ties to them just walked in that house and just started stabbing and killing 4 and versus 6 of them. You know what I mean? Why aren't all 6 of them dead? But I think like this whole, now that we know Brian's out and about, New Orleans Lady is going to be helping me with it as well. But we're going to show that could Brian Kohlberger actually be in different places at different points versus what the probable cause states due to where the cell phone towers are located in the coverage area of the areas that he was going to. Like, could it possibly look like you were going one way, but you were actually going the other way? Is that at all possible? Like, what if Brian Kohlberger just drove out, or anybody that did this, if that's what I'm going to say, for his phone and just start up and peeing at 4:48? You're going to sit here and tell me that was planned, that he turned on his phone then? But we're going to break down where the cell phone, like what towers are where, what exit points are where, and where these cameras are, these traffic cams, and kind of show like we're talking about like literally it's just I think you would have them on these traffic cams. If in fact this was the route that they put in the PCA, they should be able to find that suspect vehicle 1 on one of those cams. So, but I appreciate you calling.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, no, but to answer your question, no motherfucking blood. There ain't no blood. I can't believe it. Ain't no blood. But all right, guys, I'm going to call it a wrap here. But join me this week. I'm going to be revealing, like I said, the probable cause affidavit with Dr. Drake and Dr. Moore's case, and comparing that to see how ISP went about that. And then obviously all the breakdowns with the pings. What about my pings? So you guys rock. I appreciate all of your guys' super stickers, all of your guys' new memberships. Mikey says crime scene handled exactly by the 1970 PD handbook. Thank you, Mikey, there. Tony, thank you for that $2 super sticker. Moderators, thank you for being here and keeping it the best chat in the land. And again, I do apologize about my voice. It'll get better. It'll get better. So again, until next time, be kind to one another. All righty.